Richard, your firm has been with the WISP community since its founding, just about.
Correct. Streakwave was started in 2000, so we've been around almost 12 years and are a prime provider for WISP community as well as the wider wireless community.
So we wanted to ask you, in your many encounters with guys who want to get into the business and have never done this before, what are some of the issues that they need to contend with, some of the obstacles, and how do they resolve those issues?
Well, the first thing that I would say for any WISP who is considering starting a business, it's just like starting any business, is that they need to have a good plan. A lot of the WISP businesses were started as I want to be having internet. My neighbor wants to have internet. None of us are able to get it through the providers, or it's too expensive. How can we collectively do this? It could be a business. And that's sort of how it starts. So what I suggest to people who are just starting out is they need to get an education from those who've gone before and those who are doing it now. And also, it will be a business, and it is something that for which a business plan is very, very important.
Now, obviously, in this kind of a business, technology platforms are very important. Without the gear, you don't really have the business. How do you explain to them, here are some of the things you need to think about acquiring as you start this business out?
I think most people who deal with the internet are used to the little router with the antennas on the back of their system that works in their home or their office, and they put their laptop onto it, and it gives them some degree of service. Obviously, it's the same general concept, but a commercial deployment is not the same thing, because when you go out to try and figure out whether or not you can bring a signal in and whether you can move it around to the right places, there are many, many kinds of obstacles, including noise floors and interference and obstacles. And so you have to use different kinds of equipment, maybe different frequencies, maybe different powers and strengths, maybe different kinds of antennas in order to be able to achieve what you want to do. So part of the planning is to understand the geography and to understand the conditions for the deployment of your service.
I would assume that a sort of general piece of advice is when you're starting out, you would really want to use unlicensed spectrum rather than licensed, just simply because there's a capital investment required there, right?
Well, there's both a capital investment and a little more technological understanding in a licensed spectrum. Licensed spectrum usually requires equipment that's a little more complicated. The benefits of licensed equipment is it's far less interfered with because it's controlled by its frequency. Unlicensed frequencies are generally less expensive to operate in because the equipment is much less expensive. But if you use something like 900 or 2.4, it can be a crowded space. Sometimes cause you some problems.
You know, I was reflecting on what you just said. I've been in the telecom business and around it for about 30 years. And in fact, even spent some part of that time helping guys start new telecom companies. And I never realized, I was absolutely shocked at how hard it is to do good customer service. The word service is really important. You're on the hook 24/7, and people yell at you and scream at you.
Well, see, that's the thing. There's that little term called LOS, or level of service. Telecommunications companies are used to something called 5 nines, which means that 99.999% of the time they will be up and operating as that customer is expected or contracted to be served. That's a tough standard. That's almost a 100% standard that you're always going to be operating. And as a new operator, even an experienced operator, 100% of anything is hard to attain. So a good blend of backup and understanding of your market and demands are all things that are going to allow you to provide that level of service. And of course, the people, because you can't make promises to very wide areas of geography and not have the people to be able to respond when something's wrong.
So it's your training of your staff, having vehicles that are always fully equipped with gasoline. Could be 6 feet of snow, could be 115 degrees, doesn't really matter. When something goes out, you just have to roll the truck and fix it.
It's true. Probably the most expensive thing any WISP will do or any provider will do is have to roll a truck. So thinking in advance, trying to make things as manageable and prepared in advance as you can with your equipment, with your monitoring, is going to cut down on the number of times that you have to get in a truck and roll out and talk to the customer and change the equipment or adjust the equipment. So the things that you can do in advance to plan to make sure things work in advance, and in the event of something going wrong, like surge protection or lightning arresting or dealing with temperature variations, anything like that is something you want to deal with up front.
Do you have a recommended base package of equipment and infrastructure or principles of network design that you almost always recommend for anybody getting into the business?
Well, the first thing is wireless is not the same as wired. And a lot of people come to the table thinking, how hard could it be? And the truth is, it's not that it's so hard. It is just a very different science and a very, very different understanding. So if you're interested in doing this, I think first you need to get a basic course in RF. We call it RF 101.
Which no one teaches anymore.
Well, Streakwave
Unless
does.
you're in the military.
Streakwave actually does. We provide a couple of different places that you can get information. On our website and our competitors' websites, you can find learning centers and portals and wikis and information that will help you learn about all the aspects of RF. And then the equipment manufacturers themselves, they try and educate you so you can best use the equipment. That's one way. And then we offer a series of training courses that discuss RF. I highly recommend anyone, even if they've been in the business for a long time, they can get a refresher. Even if they're more efficient, it's going to save them money, make them money in the long run.
Richard, thanks very much for your views. Appreciate it.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.